I thought that he'll join us.
Maybe you've seen him.
I've seen
of the
him, yes.
profession. Hello and welcome to International Affairs Broadcasting live from the Dhaka's Gulshan studio. My name is Shamsul Alam Pantho, as I will bring you the most important updates from here in Bangladesh and around the globe. But before I do so, I want to introduce my panelists here in the studio. We have Advocate Mohsen Rashid, who is a senior jurist for the nation and of course President of the BD Muslim League. I welcome him on to this program.
My pleasure.
Thank you for being here, sir, as well as our Zoom connections shall be graced by our geopolitical correspondent, Norman Floyd Barnes from Washington, D.C., alongside our Pakistan correspondent, Mohammad Musab, shall be joining from Islamabad. But I want to begin in the studio while I await my Zoom connections with Advocate Mohsen Rashid. I know it's a day of oath here in Bangladesh, but I want to begin with the U.S. position on various fronts around the world. We have seen in the last 47 days what they have done with Venezuela and right now with Iran. One is determined in not allowing Iran having this innovation or the technologies involved in enriching uranium to build nuclear made weapons, whereas Iran has the whole determination as a sovereign nation to develop technology as they seem fit. So the negotiations has been held in Geneva. And of course, the US President said that he'll be involved indirectly. I think that is a play of words. I want to understand what are the vibes that you are seeing from these events.
You see, the negotiations started in Oman initially, and these were indirect negotiations. They did not sit face to face because Iran did not want to sit with them. So the Omanis were actually interacting as interlocutors. They had a good, at least a good round, first round. Now the point is that it is not the American position that is in play. The problem is that I don't know if America's Middle Eastern policy or foreign policy is their indigenous policy or it is a policy which is run by Israel. In as much as I am concerned, I have a feeling that Mr. Trump is nobody. In as much as the Middle Eastern policy is concerned, it's run by the Zionists within the American deep state. And they only follow what is instructed by Netanyahu. Now these people, especially in the government in Israel, they are mostly East European immigrants. Netanyahu is not the name. His name is something else. They have taken new names in Israel when they came here, you see. He is Polish. So these are the people who are creating problems in Middle East. Now Iran will never give up. Iran is ready to go for a fight with the United States and Israel if it be so. Reason being that they have put two conditions, the Americans, the Israelis, whatever you may say, they are the same. Condition is they should give up their uranium enrichment and they should give up their missile programs. So the discussion that they want to have is that the missile program, even if they continue, its range has to be limited to an extent that it cannot reach Israel. This will never happen. Number two, in as much as the uranium enrichment program is concerned, yes, there can be some discussions on this. Maybe a percentage of their enriched uranium may be shifted out to a friendly country of Iran, or maybe Russia or China. So it's not an easy negotiations, and the Iranians are ready for a fight. The Americans have made themselves vulnerable by putting in two of their big aircraft carriers.
Yes, the Gerald Ford and the Abraham Lincoln.
Right. Now they are vulnerable because Iran is in a position to ambush both of them. and destroy both of them. If that happens, then I do not know what the situation will be. Number two, the Iranian missiles are capable of destroying Israel totally. Now, if Israel wants to be annihilated, then they should go to war. Otherwise, they should work for peace, and if possible, making certain changes in the earlier agreement in which everybody was involved, America, China, Russia, everybody signed the Jacobs
Board of Peace that came in.
So I think they should go back to it, maybe make a certain amendment here and there. Otherwise, I am bracing for a war in the Middle East, and if that happens, the Strait of Hormuz will close, oil shipments will stop, prices of oil per barrel would shoot like nobody's business, it would go off the roof, absolutely it would go off the roof. So I think Trump and the American administration should be more careful. Now Trump is pushing for this at this stage. He wants to show something to his electorate because the elections are coming, and in the elections it appears, because what he has done domestically with these immigrants, ICE and other things, there is a likelihood that the ship of the Republicans would sink and Democrats would be up there. That would put Trump in an even bizarre position, because in that case they might come up with impeachment, Trump's impeachment, or they might even go for the 25th Amendment to the Constitution, because many are now saying that Trump is incapable, he is incapacitated mentally because of his physical health.
Of course, very interesting updates coming up regarding Donald Trump, of course, regarding Israel and Iran. You had mentioned Israel and how they are still holding this kind of annexation towards the West Bank. What we understand is the international media calls this the occupied West Bank. Well, the definitive direction occupying is what is going on. And as you ended your statement that he is decapitated to some level of extent, we've seen that with the previous president Joe Biden as well. He used to fall asleep and had multiple ailing conditions in his decision making. So that is a very important issue. Also, there is one issue that is coming out that from Israel, 4 people were killed on Sunday evening in an Israeli drone strike targeting vehicle in the eastern Lebanese town of Majad Anja near the Lebanese-Syrian border, despite a ceasefire. Clearly, they do not understand what a ceasefire exists of. Of course, on the other side, the Organization of Islamic Cooperation and the Arab League on Monday, which was yesterday, condemned the illegal Israeli measures to register large lands of the occupied West Bank as state property, warning the move undermines efforts to establish peace in the region and calling for urgent international action. And as you were saying, that the Iranian missile program seems to be taking off, and in the recent times it has attacked the Haifa port in Israel, as we saw as a part of the 12-day war. And you were definitely correct to say this, that you predict a warlike situation coming out of the Middle East. 2 US carriers are in the region. And yes, the things that you said about the market, about the crude fuel industry, the fossil fuel industry, the price of per barrel will go up. That will definitely not make America great again, even after having the access to Venezuelan oil reserves. But one thing that is of huge significance here is that the Saudi side, Saudi Arabia, is also known for an oil exporting nation, and they have said that their land and air and all of these assets shall not be used in any kind of coordination with the US side. So even some of these Arab nations are saying that we cannot entertain a war of this scale in this region, and is turning away from the US. So how do you see this Arab nations change of tone suddenly as these 2 carriers are in their seas?
Well, you see, Saudi Arabia has taken a stance, which is okay. Qatar is also taking a stance. Problem is with UAE. The problem is with UAE. UAE is being run by this second son of Zayed Al Nahyan, who is totally controlled by the Israelis. And it is this man who has started wars, who has destroyed Sudan, this UAE. UAE is supporting, financing, funding, and supplying all kinds of arms and ammunitions to the RSF or whatever the other
Rapid
forces,
support
not the army.
forces. They're the rapid
The
support
rapid
forces.
support forces. And it is because of this that Sudan today stands in this big turmoil where the civilian life is at risk. You know what this RSF did in Darfur recently. I mean, so this is all UAE has to take the responsibility for all this. UAE has created problems in Yemen. I mean, I'm surprised what kind of Muslims they are. They're criminals, absolute out and out criminals. This UAE ruling family or this president of UAE, out and out criminal. He is also responsible for problems being created by the Israelis and the Indians in Balochistan. They are also responsible. This UAE and Israelis are also responsible for the TTP funding. Host and Kunar, I think, these two provinces where TTP is there, they are being funded by the Indians and by them. So I think if you need peace, UAE has to change its character. UAE must understand that this is not how international relations are conducted. They have to change themselves. They have to chain Israel also. They have to chain Israel, because Israel is acting freely in UAE, which should not happen. So I think I'm very critical of UAE, and I think the Arab nations should, in their summit, take this up and talk to UAE or send their forces and overthrow this government of UAE.
Of course.
It's a criminal government, absolutely criminal government.
Very important update coming from Advocate Mohsen Rashid. And I was doing some of this reading regarding the United Arab Emirates, 7 states which make up this nation. And of course, one of these states did call out the administration there because of having this friendly relationship with Israel that they have as a part of the Abraham Accords. So that's what it was called when the Western powers had tried to ask the Arab League and the Arab nations to understand what Israel is, to recognize what Israel is, instead of recognizing Palestine. But even in the UN General Assembly, we've seen how the people have walked out when Benjamin Netanyahu took to the mic and he had expansionist plans. It is giving me the signal that the Middle East is in a very volatile situation. As Advocate Mohsen Rashid was saying, that the RSF, the Rapid Support Forces of Sudan, has been militarily backed by the UAE government, and there is multiple sources and evidences that says so. And of course, they have
Also
been
Yemen.
also Yemen.
Yeah.
Yemen is also involved in this issue.
No, Yemen is not. UAE is involved in Yemen.
Yemen's issue, yes.
They have created the problems.
And UAE being a nation of the Middle East that sees itself on the same level of Qatar, because we know that Qatar and the UAE are major international transit points. Of course, the UAE denies this fact regarding the RSF. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Norman Floyd Barnes, who is now connected on the program. I want to give a small brief regarding what we have discussed so far. We were talking about how Donald Trump is seeking to be directly involved, but by a distance. He said that he should be, he'll be involved, but indirectly. This is a play of words that Donald Trump is saying regarding the Iran talks being held today in Geneva, as well as how the Middle East strategy is coming out. What is the Israeli position, especially after coming in to annex West Bank? And not only so, how the United Arab Emirates, a place of emotion for Norman Floyd Barnes, how they are supporting in a very discreet manner the RSF in Sudan, and of course rebel faction groups inside Yemen. I want to pass the mantle to Norman Floyd Barnes from District of Columbia, Washington.
Greetings this morning. We're partial internet problems, slow internet this morning. But today, the focus is on the Middle East. The talks on how to address the conflict regarding Iran and the United States. the president is announcing that he wants to have a more hands-on connection with the talks and the situation that is obviously developing over there. He wants to talk directly with the leaders and have some more impact in exactly the direction in which these conversations are going regarding the closure of this conflict over there. So right now we're waiting to see exactly what that entails. It hopefully it will prevail to a point where people are not fighting each other again. That's the biggest thing, is basically how we can develop a dialogue, continue the dialogue, and to avoid conflict. Even though we have a fleet over there off Iran waiting for instructions, but like I stated yesterday, the goal now is to how we peacefully coexist in this turbulent times we have coming aboard.
Of course, important views and analysis from Norman Floyd Burns, and I want to let our ladies and gentlemen know that today is, of course, the oath-taking ceremony taking place here in the Parliament Square in the capital city Dhaka, and we were definitely discussing about the issues of global importance. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time to take a short commercial break. After on, we will have a huge analysis onto how and who to expect in the various ministries to stay on international affairs.
And domestically.
International Affairs. Watch every Sunday to Thursday at 2 p.m. only on SATV and SATV Digital.
Hello and welcome to International Affairs, and my name is Shamsul Alam Pantha.
I don't see an easy resolution to this because every slight deviation from the plan,
opening an open war conflict with them,
testing nuclear missiles,
Russia's announcement of these supposedly successful testing,
special and exclusive footage that is being played on SATV's screen,
Really coming to terms with Hamas.
Damage estimated between this entire issue.
President Trump is expected to hold bilateral talks,
preserving biodiversity and tackling climate change.
We cannot protect the planet before we negotiate peace.
Where is it going? Is it understanding the needs of its people before the needs of this global world?
For China to come to agreement,
They will face better projects.
with President Xi of China and President Lee of South Korea.
Trump's White House that is in favor of these things.
simply not enough action being taken to address the problem of fossil fuels.
What their plan initially is towards the Caribbean, a place that has been met with two types of disasters.
Bangladeshi students at the same level of opportunity internationally and domestically.
International Affairs. Watch every Sunday to Thursday at 2 p.m. only on SATV and SATV Digital.
Hello and welcome to International Affairs, and my name is Shamsul Alam Pantha.
I don't see an easy resolution to this because every slight deviation from the plan,
opening an open war conflict with them,
testing nuclear missiles,
Russia's announcement of these supposedly successful testing,
special and exclusive footage that is being played on SATV's screen,
really coming to terms with Hamas.
Damage estimated between this entire issue.
President Trump is expected to hold bilateral talks,
preserving biodiversity and tackling climate change.
We cannot protect the planet before we negotiate peace.
Where is it going? Is it understanding the needs of its people before the needs of this global world?
For China to come to agreement,
They will face better projects.
with President Xi of China and President Lee of South Korea.
Trump's White House that is in favor of these things.
simply not enough action being taken to address the problem of fossil fuels.
welcome back on International Affairs today. I'm joined in the studio by Advocate Mohsin Rashid, while on my Zoom I have Norman Floyd Barnes joining us from District of Columbia, alongside Mohammad Musab joining from Islamabad, Pakistan. Gentlemen, I want to begin with you both once more. First with Mohammad Musab. Welcome on once again back onto this program. We were talking about how the US sees the Iran Geneva talks today. Not only so, we are also understanding how the Israeli side is trying to take over the lands belonging inside the occupied West Bank. So that is of huge significance and importance in the geopolitical arena. We also understand how the US has shipped its Gerald R. Ford naval carrier as well as the Abraham Lincoln in the Middle East, which is causing the tensions to understand if the negotiations fail in Geneva to disarm Iran of its nuclear capacities and capabilities, there shall be some kind of intervention militarily. So that is how the discussion has been going on, as well as the OIC, the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, is highly condemning this illegal moves. I want to get an update from Mohammad Musab on the things that we are observing here in Bangladesh as well. Musab, are you with us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, so I wanted to understand what are the latest developments you have from Islamabad's latest capital of the Pakistan country. But I want to understand what are the updates that you're seeing from your nation, including the Baloch Liberation Army issue that is going around, as well as the updates that I have just given you regarding the US and Iran issue, as well as the talks that they're holding in Geneva, Switzerland. I want to understand what are your views regarding this matter.
Okay. So firstly, let me update the audience, which they must already know, that Pakistani planning minister, Mr. Ehsan Iqbal, is in Bangladesh for the oath-taking ceremony, which is going to be held today. You understand that the Pakistani Prime Minister and the Foreign Minister are on a trip to Europe at this point in time. So obviously they could not make it. But news from Islamabad is that the Pakistani Prime Minister will visit Bangladesh in the coming days and weeks. This shall be done at the earliest possible date. Mr. Ehsan Iqbal Chaudhry is considered a PMLN stalwart. He is considered to be very close and an old guard of the party. Hence, his being in Bangladesh for today's oath-taking ceremony marks the fact that Pakistan holds Bangladesh very close. Having talked about that, the Pakistani Prime Minister is today in Vienna, accompanied by the Pakistani Foreign Minister, who also happens to be the Deputy Prime Minister. So they're going to Vienna after more than a decade, which means that Pakistan's global importance that increased after the India war, which Pakistan won significantly, has increased many-fold. Having said that, Pakistan was also asked by the UN to be a part of this dialogue between the United States of America and Iran, where other countries were also offered to be on the table. So yes, Pakistan also enjoying good relations with the US and Iran. Apart from that, Pakistan shares a border with Iran. So definitely Pakistan's role is increased. Iran is considered to be the belly of Asia, of this region. And anything that happens in Iran affects the whole region. The Field Marshal of Pakistan Army, General Field Marshal Asim Munir, is considered an important figure in these negotiations. In Islamabad, it is being hoped in the diplomatic circles that the US and Iran can come to a conclusion where they can they can coexist, and the region is not sent into another war. But as we know, the American tactics of bringing Iran to the table, they've sent two airplane carriers already towards Iran, which means that they want things done at the earliest. They do not want to delay these negotiations. They want to make sure that they have power when they sit on the table with Iran. So yes, Pakistan's increased role in not just the geopolitics of the region, in the geopolitics of the global order, Pakistan has become an important player. Regarding your question about BLA, now this is a huge thorn in Pakistan's defense apparatus. Pakistan has been fighting with terrorists for a very long time, but we've seen an increase in terrorist activities right after the war of the 7th May, which lasted till the 11th of May 2025, when India lost badly, which has been said by the President of the United States of America himself repeated times. So, right after that, Pakistan has been on the facing end of terrorist activities. The Pakistani Foreign Office has been constantly updating international and local press that they've named these terrorists as Fitnatul Hindustan, which translates into terrorists sponsored by Indian state. So Pakistan says that these are non-state actors operating in Pakistan. The belief is that they're being sponsored by Indian government itself. Pakistan has been on not good terms with the Afghan regime currently. Historically speaking, Pakistan has always been close to the Afghan regime, to the extent where the world blamed Pakistan for the Afghan government to be a proxy of the Pakistani government. But over the last year, we've seen all these attacks originate from Afghanistan. That's what the Foreign Office and security officials keep telling us here in Islamabad, that these are being funded by India, trained in Afghanistan, and sent to Pakistan. So at this point in time, when we speak, there's a spike in the terrorist activities that have been taking part, not just in the Balochistan province, which borders Afghanistan and Iran, but also in the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province. Even yesterday, there was a terrorist activity.
Right.
So the Pakistani security forces are laying their lives trying to make sure that this does not become normal in Pakistan. But for now, what I can report from Islamabad is that these terrorist activities are taking place, and intelligence-based operations, IBOs, are taking place on a daily basis. So there are hourly updates on these intelligence-based operations, and we're hopeful here in Islamabad that things will return to normalcy soon.
Of course, that was a very excellent observation regarding the news coming out from one of our past neighbors, Pakistan. And at this stage of the program, I want to talk about something that is holding huge geopolitical significance coming out of Bangladesh today is, of course, the oath-taking ceremony, and Mr. Tariq Rahman was sworn in as the Prime Minister on the 17th February after his party formed a clear majority. So I'm talking about today, and I want to ask this very question: what is an oath to Advocate Mohsin Rashid as an oath and to come of the service of the people, and how much of this oath is reflected upon their actions and deliberations that they offer in everyday life and everyday office? I want to know more from Advocate Mohsin Rashid before I can pass this on to Norman Floyd Burns.
See, oath is a very solemn pledge that you take, that you'll abide by laws, you'll abide by the Constitution, and you'll work for the people. You see, that's basic instinct of the oath. In Bangladesh, this has become very insignificant. People take oath, but they don't give a damn, because for them it's only a ritual. It's a ritual that, okay, I have to take oath, I'll take oath. But the significance behind the oath, that if you violate the oath, what happens? You know, this nobody thinks. So it is, in as much as we are concerned, it's a ritual only in our countries. Whether it is Pakistan or Bangladesh or India, you know, in these countries it's become a ritual. Nobody bothers about the oath that they take. You see, so I would say that yes, you are required to do this under the Constitution. I think at 4 o'clock they are going to have an oath-taking ceremony for the cabinet ministers and the Prime Minister. And we have also seen that this morning the newly elected members of Parliament, they took oath. Now there are two things. BNP has taken one oath as per the Constitution. Jamaat and NCP they have taken 2 oaths. I mean, this is something that this interim government, unconstitutional, illegal, corrupt interim government, you see, they wanted it to be like this, and it was Ali Riaz actually who was promoting this. He is one of those who has created disunity in the country. As he chaired the unity committee or whatever, you see.
Reform Consensus Committee, I think that's what they were calling him.
Yeah, he's taken in the opposition, the Jamaatis and the NCP, they have taken 2 oaths. I don't know how significant it would be, because the majority party with 2/3 majority refused to take the second oath about the July 25 charter, about its implementation. They refused, and I think they did so rightly. In as much as the constitution is concerned, you can only take one oath under 148(1), article 148(1), the oath which is subscribed. You cannot go and take any other oath as member of parliament. I don't know what kind of an oath they have taken. So this is another unconstitutional thing that has been done by Jamaat and NCP, and they should be held responsible and liable for this, because they have created all this mess with Yunus, his government. Today Bangladesh has lost billions and billions of takas in trying to have reforms, and these people should not be allowed to leave the country. The entire interim government should be stopped from leaving the country.
Yes.
They should be made accountable for
what
all
they've
their
done
actions.
In the last 18 months.
Yes, 18 months they've ripped Bangladesh, and Yunus has personally ripped Bangladesh. He has, I mean, I have never heard or seen, except of course Donald Trump, who is taking.
And I know that's kind of question I will have to Norman as well.
He's been taking things. Now, if I don't know if Iran has something to offer to stop the war, if Iran cannot offer, maybe some of the Middle Eastern countries can offer some gift to Donald Trump so that he
400
can
million Air Force One
maybe another one
aircraft, maybe another one.
Maybe another one. So we can stop the war. I mean, but something has to go to Donald Trump.
Of course, the important updates regarding the interim legislation and administration of the last 18 months. And I want to have a similar sort of question to Norman Floyd Barnes. We know the midterm election is approaching us, and there are certain things that US President Donald Trump has done in the last 12 or so many months. That includes tariffs, that includes his continuous fight with Harvard, tertiary education in the United States of America. There are many issues when one talks about Donald Trump. Not only so, we've seen him trying to have a defamation suit with the British broadcasting service, the BBC. So I want to understand Donald Trump's initial promise. He will not initiate himself in foreign warlike activities, and of course making America great again by tariffing all the nations of the world, making their products harder to reach, harder to attain in America. Of course, we've seen the longest running federal blackout or stoppage just end of last year. So I want to understand from Norman Floyd Barnes, today is oath ceremonies here in Bangladesh of the newly elected government. But how much of this oath is being actually nurtured, if not seen throughout their tenure? I want to understand the American side before we can continue our discussion. More from Norman Floyd Barnes.
Greetings again this morning. The first thing, congratulations to Bangladesh on electing a new government, parliament, and prime minister. The oath swearing ceremonies are happening today, and we wish your country well on its newfound government and the opportunities that you have before you. The United States position is basically one of a distance reflection on, yes, we agree that you have a new election, you have new leaders, and we wish you as a country well. How that is interpreted the next couple of days once the new parliament, the administration in Bangladesh is settled, is to be determined. But we also understand that this is a great opportunity to forge a new relationship with the Western world, in addition to South Asia. So right now, the United States is of distance they're waiting and see exactly how everything materializes, how the country comes together before they make a visit or make a let's say make a official call to the Bangladesh new prime minister. But right now, it's a festive environment, as we say, and the people should deserve that they have accomplished and achieved a great task. And the United States is waiting to see exactly how they want to be embraced, the communications, and how the people of Bangladesh is speaking through this government, and how the world is viewing Bangladesh as its attempt to position itself as a major player in South Asia and also hopefully have an impact on the world.
Of course, I would like to thank Norman for congratulating the incoming government, who is, of course, taken oath since morning. And by later this afternoon, we shall know who is in charge of what ministry and what are their plans for Bangladesh for the rest of the year, as well as the electoral time of 5 years. We've seen historically every 4 or 5 years there is an election to appoint a new leader. But this time around, it is different. July has taken July 36th. Memorably, the charter. All of this is being signed as they take the oath. Some of the movement coordinators are now in position of members of parliament. So we will understand what they see and how they talk in parliament to understand their views for the future. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time to take a short commercial break. Do stay with us. The plan initially is towards the Caribbean, a place that has been met with two types of disasters.
Bangladeshi students at the same level of opportunity internationally and domestically.
International Affairs. Watch every Sunday to Thursday at 2 p.m. only on SATV and SATV Digital.
Hello and welcome to International Affairs, and my name is Shamsul Alam Pantha.
I don't see an easy resolution to this because every slight deviation from the plan,
Opening an open war conflict with them.
testing nuclear missiles.
Russia's announcement of these supposedly successful testing.
Special and exclusive footage that is being played on SATV's screen.
Really coming to terms with Hamas.
Damage estimated between this entire issue.
President Trump is expected to hold bilateral talks.
Preserving biodiversity and tackling climate change.
We cannot protect the planet before we negotiate peace.
Where is it going? Is it understanding the needs of its people before the needs of this global world?
For China to come to agreement,
They will face better projects.
With President Xi of China and President Lee of South Korea.
Trump's White House that is in favor of these things.
simply not enough action being taken to address the problem of fossil fuels.
What their plan initially is towards the Caribbean, a place. Welcome back to the last segment of International Affairs. We are joined through Zoom with Mohammad Musab from Islamabad, as well as Norman Floyd Barnes from Washington, D.C., and in the studio with Advocate Mohsin Rashid. I want to have this last 10-minute conversation regarding the metric of performance for any kind of administration that has left us and that is going to take the first steps today. We will understand how it relates to the past administrations or the past regimes. I want to have a small comment from both my Zoom connections before I can come back into the studio. First with Norman. Many in the nation are now trying to understand how the interim government has performed. Where were their lackings and where were their successes? How do you see this issue, and your last closing statement before I can move on? Norman Floyd Barnes.
yes, the day, like I said, is a very festive opportunity for the country to bring in new leadership. However, the people want change. The people want to see change in Parliament, and they want to see a more vibrant, more engaging, and a younger administration. So they want to see representatives from their communities, Yet, they understand that we as a country we need to establish ourselves, but
55
we
পর্যন্ত
want
টানবো
the people who are making these decisions be representative of the
right
Gen Z communities that forge this change. So right now, the eyes are looking at the structure of exactly of the administration and how they are going to proceed with structuring term limits and how they are basically going to address the whole relationship with South Asia. How are we
right
going to, who are we going to talk to? Who are we going to reach out to? Who's going to be our potential partners as we move forward? And basically, most importantly, how do we broker peace for an entire region? How we have impact the new administration on the South Asia region.
Right. I must thank Norman Floyd Barnes for his excellent commentary and regards towards the show here in International Affairs. A very small comment from Musab. You were here during the election day. You have seen how people have reacted. You were on the streets understanding the vibes of the people. Your closing statements before I come back into the studio. Are you on a positive scale? Do you see, is there optimism in the air? What is your last views?
So yes, definitely I was there, but there are a few things, a few key takeaways that I had from what I saw in the 4 days that I was in Dhaka. So number one, I saw this to be an excellent opportunity to communicate with the Bangladeshi nation, and I also communicated with more than 100 foreign observers and international journalists that were present there. We went to the BNP meet and greet. We went to the Jamaat meet and greet. We also went to the Election Commission meet and greet for foreign observers and international journalists. There are positive things that I saw in Bangladesh. Number one, I definitely the country was in a huge turmoil after whatever happened with the Sheikh Hasina government and the Sheikh Hasina regime.
Right.
So yes, there was positivity. People were expecting normalcy to return. I might my other fellow panelists might disagree with what I have to say here, but I think that on the streets of Bangladesh, I saw huge respect for Professor Yunus. People really loved him. From my interactions, and people think that he delivered with a free, fair, and transparent election. At the same time, like most South Asian countries, Bangladesh's biggest task, any government that is going to come in, the biggest this at this point in time, the problem they'll face is economic. So
Right.
they'll have to revisit whatever economic condition Bangladesh is in. They'll have to sit down with China. They'll have to sit down with India. They'll have to sit down with the US, and they'll also have to sit down with Pakistan. So they'll have not just to make sure that they have free and fair relations with their neighbors, which includes India as number one. They'll also have to sit down with international powers. So it's an uphill task for this government, and Bangladesh has huge human growth, but they lack big on infrastructure. So they'll
Right.
have to sort of come with schemes to make sure to address this problem. Infrastructure is a huge problem for
Yes.
anybody who comes into Dhaka.
Accurate.
Having said that, foreign relations and economic condition, I think these are two things that the Tariq Rahman-led government will have to deal with. They've come out of a huge turmoil. The nation expects big from Tariq Rahman. So my last comment on this will be Tariq might enjoy two-thirds majority. He might enjoy a popular vote. But as we see in politics, the moment you come into power, your graph starts coming down. So from today, the calculator starts, the stopwatch starts. Tariq will have to deliver, and he'll have to deliver big. Because on the streets, I've seen people have huge expectations from him. And lastly, there's a huge opposition in the face of Jamaat and NCP.
Of
So
course.
they'll be taking Tariq, they'll be making sure that they keep him on a leash. He needs to be more proactive, keep talking to the people, because the Bangladeshi people, as I've said this numerous times to anybody who asked me this question, are one of the most vibrant nations in the world, and they'll make sure that they keep Tariq accountable for his actions from starting from today.
Of course, important upgrades from Mohammad Musab from Pakistan, who believes that their performance was done at a higher standard. But I think in our studio, Advocate Mohsin Rashid has something to add regarding the last 18 months of administration led by the advising panel and, of course, the chief advisor, Muhammad Yunus. Of course, the many important deals that he has done in his time, the port deal with UAE, of course, DP World, whose chairman was implicated in the Epstein files, if not. And of course,
he has
the metric of
chairman.
He has resigned as chairman. So I want to understand from the very last comments from Advocate Mohsin Rashid, what is your observation in the last 18 months? Has Bangladesh been held high and been successful? What is your comments?
The administration of Yunus was a disaster, complete and total disaster. And you can feel that disaster on the streets of Bangladesh. You see, just go out 100 times more. You have these auto rickshaws and others where traffic movement has come to a halt, more or less. Traffic cannot move. And you know, the king of Bhutan told me that if you want to see whether there is any rule of law in a country, just look at the traffic. We are having tea together, and this is what I was told. And very right, look. You've got about 5-10 lakh autos on the streets. You can't move. I mean, it's terrible. Number one. Number two, this was the most corrupt government. What they have done in 18 months, if you average out Sheikh Hasina's corruption, this would exceed that. Now, I'll tell you why I'm saying this. What was the necessity for this departing government to go for this deal when elections were on the card? What was the necessity to have another 17 Boeings purchased? This could have waited.
Of course.
If we have made a commitment, it could have waited. Even the trade deal signed could have waited for a few weeks till this new government, elected government, had come in.
But they hurried it up.
They hurried it up because commission was coming from these deals. You know, and all of the LNG. Lamia's, Murshid's husband is involved in LNG transactions. You see, Yunus himself has taken university, he has taken digital wallet. I mean, I've never heard a head of government or head of state doing such things.
Of course, they should be responsible for the things they have done.
And he should be accountable for all this. Not, I just mentioned two. There's so many other things like the tax that was imposed on his companies, those have gone, you know. So, these people should not be allowed to leave this country. They should be held accountable, and they should be held accountable by this government. You see, because this government, Bangladesh, cannot rescind any agreement. They cannot tell the American administration that we want to relook into this. They do not have that kind of a power or courage to do it. As a matter of fact, nobody has to tell the Americans that we want to. Similarly, they can't go and tell the Boeing company that no, listen, I even don't have place in my airport to park these extra.
There is no visual hangar that will park all of these planes.
And you can't even park these 17 Boeings on the tarmac. Those of us who have been going through the airport process, we know that there's no space to park these huge double aisle aircrafts on the tarmac. You know, they have hurried things up, you know, because they knew they were leaving. And Bangladesh was saved by the army. Whatever elections you have seen, it's not a delivery that has been given to us by Yunus's government. This is something that has been delivered to us by the army, because the security cover that they had provided, about 7-8 lakh security people were on the ground providing this cover. Army, Navy, Air Force, village, Ansar.
Village Defense Forces, the
RAB,
VDP. Right.
Yeah, all of them. And this is why people had they were very confident that yes, we can go out now and we can vote. But other thing is that the government engineered with the voting also. Like the percentage that they have announced is not the percentage which has been there. And that is why you see a conflict between the yes, no and the actual voting of candidates, you see. So this is a problem. And this, what you call this referendum thing, NCP signed it yesterday evening. July 25 thing was more for them than for anybody else. And they never signed it. I mean, they have signed it after the referendum. After the referendum was held, they went yesterday, I think, and signed it in the office of the. This is a fraud. This government was a total fraud, total failure. They let this country down.
Of course, I appreciate.
Had it not been for the army and the armed forces, even they did not have good connections with the armed forces. He brought in NGOs to run this country. He took away this, they brought down the photographs of the president from every. He's the sovereign. He represents the sovereignty. You cannot take down his photograph. They took it down just because Rizwana wanted this to happen. They took away the entire press team of the president. Even when credentials were being presented, had army ISPR not given him this extra coverage, then they could not even have photographed them. You see, this is what they have done. They had the least respect for the Constitution, having taken oath on the Constitution. This is what the interim government was.
Of course, much respect to you, Advocate Mohsin Rashid, for your valuable insight and analogy and observations what we have faced over the last 18 months. I also want to thank our Pakistan correspondent Muhammad Musab, as well as a correspondent from DC, Norman Floyd Barnes, on joining us with their valuable contributions and insight on this program. I want to conclude in a happy tone and also a message of a very worrying message. July of 2025, the country was in transition. February of 2026, the country is still in transition. And of course, it is a Chinese New Year being celebrated with multiple countries worldwide.
Year of the horse.
Year of the horse,
yeah.
Which is important to know how the prosperity shall be shared amongst generations and amongst the society. Once again, I want to let our viewers know that this has been an excellent show. Please do join us on our program tomorrow. And that's it for today. I shall see you all on the next program. Bye-bye.